Hi everybody. I am in my backyard and I'm really happy today because the sun is shining and the sky is blue, and so it's really fun to be out here. It's not too cold out. It's perfect day for a backyard adventure. So all you need today is your blanket and your journal and something to write with. I also brought out some colored markers because I'm going to do a little bit of drawing in my journal later. So you can get that too if you want. Okay, so what I want to do today is I'm thinking about spring and I want to look around my yard for signs of spring. So anything that is in my yard that lets me know spring is coming. But before I do that, I'm just going to take a listen in my backyard. I hear a lot of birds. There's one bird in particular that kind of keeps tweeting, and it's hard to hear now because there's also a truck somewhere in the neighborhood. I'm also just going to look around my yard and kind of notice the colors and just look at all the big things before I go and look at small things in my yard. I'm just going to take a look at the big things. I see a squirrel in my neighbor's tree. It's not in my tree, but it's in my neighbor's tree. And I'm just going to notice my trees still are just, brown with branches, no leaves. Okay, I think I'm ready to go find some signs of spring. So I'm gonna look for things that are really nice and green, or buds on the trees, or little things that are growing. So you look around your yard for that too, and then we'll get back together and tell each other what we saw, okay? Look at all these little plants. This is definitely a sign of spring, you guys. There's so many of them, and I think they really liked that rain on the weekend. They're so green. All right, here's some more really pretty big plants. These are doing really well. There's those purple ones that we were looking at the other day, and they look even bigger. This is definitely a sign of spring. So sign of springs don't just happen on the ground with what's growing in the ground. Can you see what's happening with this bush here? This is a bud, and a blossom is going to grow out of that bud, and they're all over this bush. They're kind of fuzzy. They're fun to touch because they're kind of fuzzy. And you can gently touch the buds to see what they feel like. Just be really gentle so that you don't knock any off. These start actually really small, so on some parts, I don't know if you can see them, they're just really small. On this little bush, the buds are actually starting to open up into little tiny leaves. So that's exciting. What's happening back here in my corner spot? Hi, what'd you find? I found all kinds of things like little buds on my trees and little sprouts growing in our garden, and the grass is a lot greener than it was the other day when we first started. Moss, I have some bright green moss growing in my yard, and all kinds of really fun little things growing. So I'm gonna get out my journal and my pen, and I'm just gonna make a list of all the things that I saw. So I'm gonna write signs of spring, and I'm gonna put today's date so I can remember what I saw today. And today is March 30th. So I just wrote signs of spring, and I'm gonna start listing all the things I saw, like buds. And some of my buds were actually opening up to little leaves, so I'm gonna write little leaves. And I saw those purple flowers, remember? Purple flowers. So I'm just gonna keep thinking and keep writing all the things that I saw. Okay, so I have a list in my journal of things that I saw, and I decided to also write things I felt or heard. So my list is buds on my trees and bushes, little tiny, tiny green leaves, purple flowers, bright green moss, fuzzy buds, plants sprouting with green leaves, birds singing. Can you hear them? The sun, warmish air, mud, and dead brown leaves. So I have a lot of dead brown leaves around, and they're not like orange and yellow and fun like fall time leaves. They've been here all winter, so I think that's a sign of spring too, that I can see them. They're not buried under the snow anymore. I'm gonna draw a picture now of my favorite things that I saw, and I'm gonna use some color to make my picture. So I'm gonna work on that on the next page in my journal. Okay, I'm done with my picture. Are you done with yours? Let me show you. I made the purple flowers that I saw in my garden, and right next to it is that bush that had the fuzzy buds on it. Can you see I made those little fuzzy buds on the bush, and the blue sky. And then I got inspired to do this. I just wrote the word spring, and I thought of a word to go with each letter. So my words are sun, pollen, run, insects, new, and green. So that's our journal entry for today in Backyard Adventures. I hope you will find lots of signs of springs in your yards, and please let me know what you find, because I'm interested to see what your yards are looking like. Bye.